Agatha Christie was an English writer who was born in the last decade of the 19th century. She was considered one of the most influential and prolific writers of the 20th century, as well as a world-renowned mystery writer. Her novels are still successfully transcribed, translated, and published all over the world. Many films and TV series adaptations have been made from her works. They were mainly shot around the main protagonist of her major works, Hercule Poirot. Today we are going to compare the novel Murder on the Orient Express, written in 1936, with its movie that goes by the same name, directed by Kenneth Branagh in 2017, where he himself plays the main character. The famous detective Poirot, after receiving an important telegram, is forced to leave urgently for London. He then finds himself on the Orient Express, the train where the whole story will take place. Despite the winter season, the train is strangely fuller than usual. Excluding Poirot and his friend Book, who was also the train officer, there are 14 other passengers, each one so different from the others, and apparently unrelated. They will then share the journey together, a journey which will be unforgettable for everyone. After the interruption of the trip due to an avalanche on the way, the corpse of the victim, a certain Samuel Ratchet, will be found. He was killed by 12 stab wounds, each one different from the other. The story will therefore revolve around Poirot, who will try to solve the case in order to bring the murderer to justice. It's an intriguing case where each piece of evidence found can lead to a certain passenger, but strangely, each passenger is capable of confirming someone else's alibi. As the plot continues, it will be revealed that the real name of the victim is John Cassetti, an Italian-American gangster who was responsible of kidnapping and murder of the little Daisy Armstrong, that then caused the misfortunes of the Armstrong family and of all those around them. The story ends by discovering how all the passengers, who at first seemed to be strangers, were all connected to the Armstrong family and united on this train in order to put an end to a story that had been haunting them for years. Many roles in the movie are identical to the book, but we can find some changes that they made to match the cast of the film. For example, the Swedish missionary in the book is played by Penelope Cruz, and so, to match the Latin traits, it was then renamed Pilar Estravados, while Antonio Foscarelli, the Italian car salesman, played by Manuel Garcia Rulfo, was then renamed to Bignamo Marquez. However, the biggest difference can be found in Dr. Arbuthnot, who results to be an union of two characters. The first one goes by the same name, and therefore also Armstrong's right-hand man, and the second one is a passenger who uses his medical knowledge to help Poirot in his investigation. We can also find a stylistic change in the character of Poirot. While in the book he was described by the author as a strange little man with a bald egg-shaped head, in the film he was portrayed as a well-groomed man despite his huge mustache, and at first glance he can result really fascinating. We find the biggest change right at the beginning of the film, where we are immediately introduced to a Poirot busy solving a theft case in Jerusalem. 3 men of worship are accused by the local official of stealing an estimable relic that was inside the mosque. After a very interesting deduction by Poirot, where thanks to a crack left by the thief on the wall fresco, he manages to reveal the real culprit, namely the officer himself. An eventful scene with a surprise ending, a scene that wasn't mentioned at all in the book, and I think it was done on purpose to introduce the character to the audience, in order to show his character and his detective instincts. A small change was also made during the course of the investigation. While in the book the train is stopped by an avalanche leading passengers to remain stuck inside the Orient Express, in the movie we can see a situation less claustrophobic than the first one, whereas passengers are free to go out whenever they wanted to. In the movie there will also be an action scene where Poirot finds himself chasing one of the passengers outside the train. The ending, of course, is the part where the solution is revealed. In both the book and the movie, Poirot presents two possible solutions to the crime. In the first, the detective speculates on the appearance of another character, a killer who snuck onto the train and left after completing the murder. The second solution, which is the correct one, that all the passengers had connections to the Armstrong family, and that they gathered on this train to avenge the death of their loved ones. After that, the film separates from the book. On the book, Poirot lets Book make the choice, and despite passengers' confessions, he chooses to hand over the first solution to the police. In the movie, however, Poirot decides to take the choice. He says he cannot lie and that a man like him will never be able to live with injustice. So he gives a gun to the passengers and insists that if they wanted to have his silence, they must kill him first. Mrs. Hubbard, however, turns the gun on herself and attempts the suicide. The last action convinces Poirot to present the first solution to the police. Poirot for the first time says that he will have to learn how to live with the imbalance. Personally, I have to conclude by saying that I enjoyed the movie much more, since it makes images real that previously only appeared in your mind while reading the book. And above all, I really appreciated the monologue made by Poirot at the end of the movie. He describes the human being who believes it is rational and civilized, while facing anger and pain from the loss of a loved one. Often the principles on which human race is based, they then end up in the background.